This is now the third airline tragedy in just about a week's time, raising questions about aviation safety. Michael Planey is well acquainted with aircraft design and flight experience. He is a consultant with H-M Planey, a firm specializing in airline issues. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, 3 airline crashes in about a week's time. They're not connected, but does it seem to you that the number of crashes overall is increasing?
Actually, no. This has just been truly an unfortunate week. If you go back and look at the data over the last 5 years, the trend is actually going the way we want it to. Aircraft are safer. Air travel is safer than it has ever been before. We are flying more routes. We are flying longer routes, more destinations, and carrying more people, more miles. And yet, the safety is continually improving. It truly has just been an unfortunate week.
It appears right now that 2 out of the 3 crashes, weather played a role in them, and 2 of the flights went over war-torn areas. So talk about the risks to avoid delays, including both in weather and conflict zones. At what point does a judgment call have to happen, and what are pilots taught? What kind of a say do they have in whether they fly or not?
Well, let's start with the war-torn areas or areas of armed conflict. The airlines are relying upon the best data they can get from the international aviation authorities, from international safety and security experts. They also often have their own internal safety and security experts that make judgments about where the routes are that are safe. In the case of Malaysian Air Flight 17, they were on a well-traveled route that had been deemed safe. They were just exceptionally unfortunate to be the aircraft that was targeted. There were aircraft from Singapore Airlines, Lufthansa Airlines, Air India, all on exactly the same route on that flight path. Malaysia just was unfortunate. When it comes to areas such as weather, that's where the pilots have a lot more discretion. If they are getting weather data, or if air traffic control is telling them that there is severe weather ahead, they can request to be rerouted around it. That is almost always the case. They're doing that with the safety of the aircraft and the passengers in mind. They're also doing it for the comfort and the peace of mind of the passengers. Modern aircraft are equipped and designed to fly through very severe weather. We don't have any information about the last 2 crashes, both the one in Taiwan or in Taipei and the one that is in Africa. But weather increases the workload that the pilots have to deal with. It forces them to have to evaluate an entirely different set of criteria than they do on a routine flight. So whether the weather itself caused the crash or whether the weather was a factor that added into it, we don't have enough to know about yet.
We have just a short amount of time left. Do you think the airline industry will make any changes based on the circumstances of either of these 3 plane crashes?
They always do. In fact, the reason that the airline industry or the aviation industry is as safe as it is now is that they have a fantastic record of evaluating what went wrong and then taking active steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Sometimes they're very minor things and sometimes they're major. In the case of the Malaysian aircraft that has been shot down, you immediately saw everybody changing their flight paths to go around an area that is now known to be a threat to civil aviation. When it comes to getting the data off the black boxes for the other 2 crashes this week, they will be evaluated. Recommendations will come both from the airlines and from the regulatory authorities. It will improve air safety. It's just an unfortunate way to have to do it.
All right, Michael Planey, we appreciate your insight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.